JJ, welcome back to Breakdown. Today it's Thursday, February 17th, middle of February. We're going to talk basketball, but we're going to put a little twist on it today because February is Black History Month. We're going to talk a little bit Black history or black presence in the SEC and the Big Ten. You ready to do this?
Unlike the Cincinnati Bengals, I am.
All right, let's do this.
All right.
Okay, JJ, as I said, it's Black History Month. So let's talk about the black coaches. We're going to start off with football. We're going to do football, women's and men's basketball, and women's basketball. And we're going to do the SEC and the Big Ten. So let's start with football, the Big Ten. Big Ten currently has 3 black football coaches.
Indeed.
There are 14 in all of FBS. So the Big Ten has 21% of all the black coaches in football. And the 3 teams with a black coach, who are they?
Well, it'd be Penn State, Maryland, and the most recent hire in the Big Ten for a black coach would be Mel Tucker, the $90 million man.
Big Money Mel.
Big Money Mel.
All right, so that's Mel Tucker with Michigan State. This is Michigan State's second black head football coach.
Yeah, after Bobby Williams.
Yes, Bobby Williams. James Franklin at Penn State. Previously, he was at Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
So he did some time in the SEC and in the Big Ten.
Absolutely.
And then the newcomer, Maryland.
Mike Loxley.
Yes. Okay. Look at the SEC.
Well, the SEC currently has how many black head coaches?
Exactly. How many?
You tell me.
The last I looked, it would have been nada.
Well, as of right now,
0.
it would appear that that is accurate.
Why the resistance in the SEC to black coaches, black football coaches?
There's a lot of history in the South that I could go into. I'm gonna elect not to.
Okay.
But honestly, I don't know if there's much of a resistance. What do you think the resistance might be?
I don't know, but I do think that there is resistance.
Okay.
I think all time, I think the SEC has had 3 or 5 black coaches altogether. I know they had Sylvester
Croom, Kevin, or the Texas A&M coach. What was his
Kevin
name?
Sumlin.
Kevin Sumlin.
Vanderbilt has 2.
James Franklin and Derek Mason.
Derek Mason.
And Kentucky had Joker Phillips.
Yup. And there's one other.
So that's already 5.
But none of them are currently there. Oh, so no, there was only 5. So that we name all 5 of them?
I guess so.
Okay. So that's the history of the SEC. Is the lack of black football coaches hurting the SEC, JJ?
I mean, it depends on what your measuring stick is. If it's just success on the field, I think we can say resoundingly that hasn't been the case for the SEC. If you look at the past decade plus of dominance.
Okay. So what measurement would indicate that it's hurting the SEC? It is not performance on the field. Is there any measurement that would indicate that?
I mean, there's a lot of measurements outside of that. There's like graduation of players, transfer of players. There's a lot of different metrics and measuring sticks you can use to.
So, why should the SEC hire black head football coaches?
Well, I mean, you definitely wouldn't have the situation that's going on in Auburn currently with Brian Harsin, where you just have someone who cannot relate to. I mean, the thing about it is over 60% of like the Power 5 conference players are black. So if you play in the Power 5, you're gonna have to relate. 60% of your team is gonna, be black for the most part, unless you coach at BYU or Utah, something like that. So you're gonna have to be able to relate to your players on certain levels. I mean, Brian Harsin is a perfect example. Like, there's a lot of players that are transferring and saying that he doesn't understand how to relate to his players. Even before he got to Auburn, when he was at Boise State, there was players that were like demanding him, be more active and do more after like the George Floyd murder happened, and he was pretty silent on that one. So I think it's just about connecting. I mean, being a coach is in part about strategy and X's and O's, but it's also about relationships and connecting with people.
You know, you mentioned Brian Harsin. This last year was his first year at Auburn.
And I thought it was going to be his last year at
Well,
Auburn.
that was my question to you. He will be back?
Yeah, well, legally he will be back just because of the buyout issues. Auburn has a basketball coach that they just signed to basically a lifetime.
Bruce Pearl.
Yeah, and he has issues in his past that it would make it hard for Auburn to seriously go in front of any type of legal magistrate and say, like, because there's a morality issue. I'm not sure if everyone's aware of Brian Harsin's issue. He got caught cheating on his wife or whatever with a staffer. The infidelity isn't the issue. Isn't why he'd be fired for cause. It's more like the personal relationship with a underling or
Someone that's, I understand, kind of like Arkansas's coach.
Well, yeah, but Auburn just signed another high-profile sports coach, Bruce Pearl, to basically a lifetime deal, and he has a lot of things in his past that it would be hard to say that you want to emphasize the morality clause in Brian Harson's contract.
Understood. One last question on football before we move, and then we will go to men's basketball. But when it comes to football, especially with the SEC, is the hiring system broken, or is it working just as it's designed to work?
I think the answer to that is yes. I think the hiring system is broken, and it is working as it's designed to work.
Okay.
So I think I think that the commissioners around the SEC and the athletic directors. I mean, I think that their bottom line is success on the field, on the court success, and you cannot argue with the SEC's success rate over the past decade or so. So, in that respect, I think it's success, production at all costs.
Well, let's talk men's basketball.
Fair enough.
Black History Month. How's the Big Ten doing with black coaches in men's basketball?
They have a few.
How many do they have? They have 5.
Yeah, more than a third of their the 14 schools are black coaches. Although one is an interim. Danny Manning at Maryland
That's correct.
is not hired to be the coach.
We have Ben Johnson,
Ben Johnson, who's in his first year at Minnesota.
Mike Woodson.
In his first year at Indiana.
What's Shrewsbury?
Micah Shrewsbury.
Shrewsbury?
Yeah, I think he's second year, third. Is it second or third?
I'm thinking second at
Second
Penn
at Penn
State.
State. Yeah. What is time? It's just a construct after COVID, right?
Yeah. And there's a guy in that city down there by Detroit, A squared. What's the name of that city?
I believe it's the city that produced the most talent over the past.
Okay, Ann Arbor.
Exactly.
U of M has a black
Juwan
coach.
Howard,
Juwan Howard.
former player.
How would you, of all the coaches, which one you think is going to be the best, given time? The Big Ten.
Well, I think that's not to be biased, but I think that is Michigan. The only schools with infrastructure set up to be the most successful out of the 5 that you named are Michigan and Indiana.
What about Maryland?
Maryland has not been able to get a footing since
Maryland won it all since any of those teams we just named.
Yeah, they won it all 20 years ago.
Okay.
And they did not make the tournament. Okay.
But okay.
I think that they're a decided third. They're ahead of Penn State and Minnesota.
But Indiana isn't set up to produce a national champion.
I said that they were. I said the only schools of the 2 are Indiana and Michigan, and Michigan has a younger coach.
I stand corrected.
Mike Woodson he's in his 60s. He's post 6. I think he's older than 65, so that's post retirement age. So how long he's going to be there is anyone's guess.
I like that number.
I bet you do. I bet you do.
Okay, Big Ten. Big Ten is doing well. 5 of the 14 coaches are black. SEC had no black football coaches. How's the SEC doing among basketball coaches, black basketball coaches?
We have 2 black basketball coaches.
Who are they?
Hanzo Martin and Jerry Stackhouse.
How secure are their futures?
Not at all secure for either one. I mean, Those schools are the two worst schools in the SEC outside of Georgia, who is almost certainly going to be.
Well, Mississippi is pretty poor right now as well.
Oh, Mississippi has but I thought Okay, so Mississippi. I forgot Mississippi is in between Missouri and Georgia. I'm sorry. Mississippi started off better and then they just
They
faded.
did.
Currently, yeah.
So you said Stackhouse and Kunzo Martin. Kunzo Martin, he has really been hampered by injuries. Not this year, but his previous years. I mean, he had some awesome players that just couldn't get on the floor.
Yeah, he's had a string of bad luck when it comes to the Porter brothers, Michael Porter Jr., who just signed a $140 million contract in the NBA and promptly had back issues.
So do you hold that against him, given the fact that the players he brought there weren't able to play physically? Because had they played, Missouri would have been way better.
He reminds me of like Kevin Sumlin in that the two things that Quanzo Martin brought to the table more than anything else is no matter where he went, he had a top 25 defense. Like his defense traveled. Like he is a defensive technician. He was able to institute a top 25 defense. Before he got to Cal, before he got to Tennessee, obviously before he got to Missouri, that was his calling card, and his defense has been lacking as of late. And it was his ability to recruit, and it was ability to orchestrate and conduct a top 25 defense. And he cannot recruit right now, and he cannot defend. So,
what about Stackhouse at Vanderbilt?
They're doing a little bit better. They were at the bottom of the league, right there with Georgia, but they've been doing okay. I mean, they're still not near 500.
I mean, what about his hot seat?
I mean, it's a hot seat. I mean, he hasn't taken Vandy to the tournament in 3 years.
Okay.
And
so
Vanderbilt,
So you're telling me that the SEC could potentially be without a black coach in football and a black coach in basketball?
Yeah, I mean, I do think the seat is hot for both Konzo and Jerry Stackhouse. So if they do end up letting both of those coaches go and don't replace them with black coaches.
Well, I do know Stackhouse is bringing in a pretty decent recruiting class this coming year.
And I think that'll be a saving grace.
Okay. Among the major conferences, the Big East leads the way among black basketball coaches with 6, and then the Big Ten is next with 5. The Pac-12 has 0, which kind of surprises me. Let's talk women basketball.
Okay.
And there's one woman coach who stands head and shoulder above everyone else. What am I talking about?
Pat Summitt?
Nope. I'm talking about currently coaching right now, South Carolina, where Sports Center is going to be at this coming Saturday. They're going to be at the women's basketball thing with Dawn Staley.
Yeah, I mean, South Carolina is a absolute powerhouse.
Do you know the contract that Dawn Staley signed back, I think it was November, else December?
I don't know the actual details. Was it like $2 million?
She signed a 5-year contract. No, I'm sorry, a 7-year contract, $22.4 million. Over 7 years.
$3 million a year. Okay.
So obviously she's doing well at South Carolina. What other black women's coaches do the SEC have? Does the SEC have?
They have a few. They have as many as the Big Ten has on the men's side.
They do. So in women's basketball, the SEC is doing pretty well. Mississippi, Auburn, Kentucky, and Georgia all have black women coaches.
Yeah. Four of whom are women.
5.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Jenny Harris at Auburn is a woman.
Okay.
Although her name, you might think it's a guy, but she's actually a woman. Yeah. And what about the Big Ten?
The Big Ten seems to be lagging behind a little bit on that regard.
They do. They have one black woman head coach, but we kind of hit the major sports, and given Black History Month a little respect, and SEC, Big Ten. The SEC probably has more work to do than the Big Ten, but you can always do more work. Let's move on to the current situation, to men's basketball in general.
Okay.
SEC and Big Ten. There's some big games this weekend. We haven't come into the home stretch for the tournament, but we've rounded the corner. We're getting closer and closer to the home stretch. Some teams are getting nervous. How nervous should U of M be right now? They got a big game tonight against. They got to go to Iowa.
Michigan should be a little nervous. I mean, they're in 7th place in the Big Ten. That's not where they were predicted to start. They were predicted to win the Big Ten. But I would actually say that they should be less nervous than.
Well, they play in Iowa. Which one should be more nervous?
Ooh, that's a good question.
They're both 7-6 in the Big Ten.
Well, Iowa has a much better computer numbers. I think they're still like a top 20 team in the computers. So they're not on the Iowa's not on the bubble. Michigan is decidedly on the bubble. Iowa has a better out-of-conference record. And Iowa has a All-American candidate in Keegan Murray. He's a super sophomore. It's the year of the sophomores.
Oh, Michigan has an All-American candidate in their big man. Yes, no?
No, not this year.
Dickinson's not an All-American candidate?
It's a deep field for big men.
Okay.
I mean, like
he plays like it.
No, he was. I think was he 3rd team or he was either honorable mention or 3rd team All-American last year.
Okay.
But this year, the team isn't having the same amount of success. He's still been playing tremendously well, but Iowa's Keegan Murray is going to be 1st team All Big Ten. I would be I would bet anything I could that Howard Dickinson will not be 1st team All Big Ten.
Iowa's on a 3-game winning streak.
And they have a potential top 15 NBA draft pick in Keegan Murray.
Okay. They're playing Michigan tonight.
Yes.
At home.
Mm-hmm.
Both teams want that game. Michigan, you saying a little bit more desperate for it than Iowa. Who you see winning that game?
Well, with Iowa being home, I would give them the advantage in that one. But Michigan's freshmen have been coming on.
They have.
Diabate and Houston have been like they're starting to play like the players that they were recruited to be.
They're having spurts. If they can do it for a whole game,
you're right about that. They don't have consist. They're not as consistent throughout the entire game, but they're more consistent. Their spurts are lasting longer, and it's becoming more sustainable.
Once they do it for a full game, if it's not too late, Michigan might be someone you won't want to play if they make it to the dance. Okay, JJ, let's talk about some games this Saturday. The SEC has the number 16 team going to the number 23 team. That would be Tennessee, who's on a 5-game winning streak, going into Fayetteville to lose to my Arkansas Razorbacks. What's your take on that game?
Tennessee absolutely demolished Kentucky. It was a wonderful sight to see. Kennedy Chandler was just getting anything and everything he wanted. That was really fun.
That was payback because Kentucky had demolished Tennessee.
That is true. That is true.
Okay.
That is true.
But Tennessee is on a roll right now. They're coming off this huge win against Kentucky. Will they still be celebrating that Kentucky win this coming Saturday when they walk on the floor at Nolan Richardson Court?
It's hard to win on the road in the SEC. So with that in mind, I'm going to go with Arkansas. And I'm unbiasedly going to go with Arkansas.
Okay, I am too.
I just think Budweiser Arena, one of their home crowd, is an environment unlike any other. So
Tennessee is 10-3 in the SEC, and Arkansas is 9-4. So Arkansas is a game behind them. A win by Arkansas, they would be tied for 3rd place.
Yeah, Arkansas is more desperate. They are behind Tennessee, and they don't want to fall closer to LSU territory. They want to stay in the top 4. So
the top 4 get that bye.
Yeah, SEC tournament.
One other SEC game that's this coming Saturday. Alabama has to go to Kentucky, number 4 Kentucky. You just said Kentucky's coming off that huge loss against Tennessee.
Yeah.
How do you think they will play Saturday against the hot shooting Alabama Crimson Tide?
Well, I think Alabama and Kentucky. I think Kentucky's a better team on a neutral field or neutral court. So with them being at home and coming off a loss and needing that win, I would expect Kentucky to be a big favorite. I expect them to win, but
Alabama is on a 3-game winning streak right now. They won the last 3. One of those 3 would include a win over Arkansas.
Yeah.
But you see, but they won the last 3. But yeah.
Last 4.
Okay, but you see Kentucky winning handily.
I mean, depending on if Ty Washington is healthy, if everyone is able and willing, I do see Kentucky winning. But Alabama can beat any team depending on, I mean, how many threes they make.
Okay. Let's talk Big Ten games this coming Saturday. Michigan State gets to play home against Illinois.
Yeah.
Number 12 Illinois coming into Michigan State. Michigan State lost earlier this year by 1 point to Illinois.
An Illinois team that did not have
at Illinois.
That did not have Kofi Coburn
At Illinois.
or Andre Cabral. They didn't have two of its best three players. Just for the record, and Michigan State did not win that game.
Michigan State has dropped to 6th place right now in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Purdue is in 1st, and Wisconsin and Illinois tied for 2nd.
And all three of those teams have 4 losses in conference.
Correct.
So they all control their destiny.
Purdue has more wins.
As of now.
That's what we're talking about right now.
Yeah. But same number of losses.
Illinois, Michigan State. As you said, Illinois' big man did not play in the first game out. How do you see this matchup?
I see Michigan State losing by a lot. A lot.
You want me to clean your glasses a little bit?
No, Michigan State does not match up well with Illinois. Especially in Illinois that has Kofi Coburn and Andre Cabello available. So. What?
I know the middle in the middle they don't match up well, but
at what? No. At what position is Michigan State better than Illinois? Name one position, please.
You know what? As Lou Holtz said, and I know I've said this 1,000 times before, I'm going to say it again. You don't have to be better than the team to beat them.
You got to be better on that day.
You just got to be better on that day and play better. Michigan State will be at home.
That's true.
They'll be at home.
Where they lost to Northwestern.
Who knows? Illinois. Who did Illinois lose to recently?
They just lost to Rutgers, but Rutgers looks like they can beat anybody. I mean, they have just been on a tear recently.
Well, speaking of Rutgers, well, you know what? I'm gonna go there right now.
Purdue, Wisconsin, Illinois. Nobody's safe against Rutgers.
This coming Sunday. Rutgers has to go to Purdue.
Yeah, I do.
Will Purdue be ready for some payback?
Oh, Purdue's gonna put it on Rutgers, I believe. Yes.
Wait a minute. Rutgers is on a 4-game winning streak.
Mm-hmm.
They have beaten Purdue, Michigan State, Ohio State, and Wisconsin. At Wisconsin.
Indeed, they have.
I mean, they haven't backed down from anyone.
Mm-hmm.
They've beaten the upper echelons. Mm-hmm. And now you're going to tell me that they're going to get blown away?
Yeah, by a lot. I don't even know what the spread is, but take Purdue. Please. If as long as Jaden Ivey, Zach Edey, and Travion Williams are playing, please take Purdue. Rutgers, I love Rutgers. I love Geo Baker. I love Ron Harper Jr., but they beat Purdue on a miracle last-second shot at home in Rutgers. I think, vengeance will be Purdue's.
The fact that they're going to be at Purdue is going to make it tough for Rutgers. I mean, I will grant that, but I tell you what, Rutgers going to fight, and I don't know what the point spread is going to be. I don't think the point spread is going to be big, and I'm sure it hasn't come out yet, but. Don't sleep on Rutgers. Do not sleep on Rutgers. Rutgers is 1.5 game out of first place in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
The month of February has, I wouldn't say arguably, I would say undoubtedly been the best month of Rutgers basketball
in program
in
history.
its history. And
what about the 1976 Final Four? What about that one? It's definitely top 2. I'll definitely put top 2.
That one doesn't count.
Okay.
That one doesn't count.
Fair.
Basketball wasn't on ESPN at that time.
ESPN didn't exist in 1976.
Right. Okay, so we got that. There's another big game Sunday too.
Yes, there is.
In Wisconsin.
Yep.
That team in A Square is going to be going to Madison.
Mm-hmm.
Michigan, they got to start winning some games. They're playing Iowa tonight. They're playing Wisconsin Sunday.
Yeah.
How will Michigan do in these next 2 games?
I think they're going to go 0-2. I think Michigan's going to lose both of those.
If they go 0-2,
they'd have to do some real.
That would put them at 13 and 12,
Yeah.
they would be out of the dance.
No, they would not be out. They would be on the wrong side of the bubble. They would be.
Well,
I mean, they'd have to make a run in the big. They'd have to win a lot of games coming up, and they'd have to make a run in the Big Ten tournament.
okay, after these two games this week, this Thursday and Sunday, U of M has 5 games.
Mm-hmm.
4 of them will be at home.
Yep.
They got to make some hay when they go home if they're going to make the dance.
They absolutely will have to.
That's
Agreed.
Okay, JJ.
But I think they have a better opportunity to beat Iowa tonight than they do at Wisconsin on Sunday.
I think they can win both games this week.
They absolutely could. I would be shocked if they did. Wisconsin, I really think Wisconsin matches up pretty well with Michigan. And I think Johnny Davis is best player in the conference, maybe the best player in the country. He's another sophomore. I don't know what it is about sophomores taking the lead this year, but it seems to be sweeping the nation. So.
Well, we'll see. I said it's more likely that Michigan go 2-0 than 0-2.
Okay. I would.
But that's me. We're gonna get ready to wrap things up, JJ, pretty soon. But before I do, one last game that this Saturday, Iowa at Ohio State, because Ohio State has been coming on pretty strong and they've been playing pretty decent. They're on a 2-game win streak. They're a team that hasn't gotten a lot of recognition. They're number 18 in the country right now. How do you see this Iowa-Ohio State game?
I think Chris Holtmann is a good coach. I think that Ohio State has a lot of depth. And outside of the top end talent, I don't think that Ohio State has a lot of top end talent outside of E.J. Liddell, but they do have a lot of depth. I think that I would expect Ohio State to win.
Okay.
I just think Ohio State's home crowd is when it's going, and it tends to get going a little bit more in February and March. I think it's an atmosphere that's very hard to win at. So.
Okay. Well, we're gonna get ready to wrap up, but I'm gonna ask you before I ask for your top 4 teams. I'm gonna ask you again, how many teams in the SEC will get to the dance, and how many teams in the Big Ten will get to the dance?
Man, I think I said like 7 from the SEC. I'm gonna retract that down to 6.
Okay.
I'm gonna take that down to 6.
I would agree with 6 right now, but there's still a lot of basketball to be played. What about the Big Ten?
I don't know about 8. I'm gonna stick with 7 just to be.
In the Big Ten?
Yeah, maybe 8.
Well, okay.
I mean, I don't think Michigan's gonna make. I think Michigan's gonna go 0-2, and I'm gonna.
Okay. I think Michigan's gonna win these next 2 games.
Well, how many teams do you think are gonna out of the Big Ten then?
My gut tells me they're gonna have the same number they had last year.
They had what, 10?
Oh, then no.
Okay.
I thought they had 9. I think they're gonna have 9 this year.
Okay.
But it may only be 8.
Okay.
But I do think they're gonna get 9.
Who's the last team in that you see getting in? You see Michigan and.
I see Michigan.
You see Michigan, Indiana.
Indiana. I at one time I had, if they get 9, Indiana will get in. If they get 8, Indiana won't get in.
Okay, so Rutgers and Michigan will be okay. Fair enough.
Okay. All right. Now we're down to your top 4 in each conference. Write them down.
The closer we get.
Let's go Big Ten first.
Fair enough.
Keep you here at home in the Midwest. Start at 4, work your way down to 1.
All right. Starting at 4, I'm gonna go with Ohio State.
They new to the party.
New entry.
New to the party. Okay. Would we find out who they kicked out? Who's number 3?
Well, I'm gonna keep Wisconsin in there.
Where are you gonna keep them at?
At 3, so I'm keeping them in the top 4. So
right now they're 2, but you're putting them at 3. Okay.
I mean they're tied for 2 with another team that's also
true,
2, so
true.
they could be 3. So Michigan State is obviously not.
Not obviously.
Well, if you've watched Michigan State, then you. No, okay, fair enough.
They're playing Illinois this coming Saturday. They might win. Okay, so far you give me number 4 Ohio State, number 3 Wisconsin. Who's number 2?
in my heart of hearts, I still think Illinois has the best chance of, making a run and matching up with a variety of different teams. And which is the NCAA tournament is. You have to match up with, six different, you have to win 6 games. But I think that they have the best. I'm still going to have to put them behind Purdue, so I'm going to play Illinois at 2 and Purdue at 1.
Oh, you switching over this week?
I mean, Purdue killed Illinois. Illinois then lost to Rutgers by double digits. I just think that I don't think Illinois matches up well with Purdue whatsoever. I don't think Kobe Cover can do anything with Zach Edey. And
how many minutes can Edey play per game? At 40 minutes, how many can he play?
30.
He can play that many minutes?
Yeah.
I'm not so sure about that. But the problem is when he goes out, the guy they bring in is maybe even better.
Yeah, he was on the Wooden All-American watch list. Travion Williams. Purdue had 3 players on that. Only team in the country with that.
Purdue. My thing about Purdue, and everybody is giving Ivy huge props, and he is very huge. Without him, they wouldn't be where they are. I'm not sure he's an assassin. And I know he's hit some winners. He hit some big shots. Time will tell. I hope he proves me wrong.
I guess.
Let's go with the
I think he's the biggest assassin in the conference personally, but I guess that's where we're different.
Okay. Let's go with the SEC.
Let's do it.
Number 4.
I'm pushing Tennessee up a bit from I think they were my 4th, or maybe they were LSU was my 4th. Unfortunately, the team that you root for is going to be in 4th place, the Arkansas Razorbacks.
Okay, what team do you root for?
I also root for the Arkansas Razorbacks, but I am more objective about it, though. I do it in a more objective fashion.
So you're saying Arkansas is going to be 4th. It's interesting because they're going to beat Tennessee Saturday.
Mm-hmm. They're going to need to if they don't.
But because you say so, I'm writing Arkansas down here as
well.
4.
They play at Arkansas Saturday, but then they have to go back to Knoxville to close the year.
I ain't not scared of no Tennessee.
Okay, you don't have to be scared.
All right. Give me number 3.
I mean, I'm going to go chalk. I'm going to go with Tennessee at 3.
Even though they're going to lose to the number 4 team this Saturday, you're going to put them number 3. I don't get it. Hey, everybody, listen to me. Take it to the bank. Arkansas will beat Tennessee Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Done deal. Okay, and for some reason, JJ seems fit to give Tennessee the number 3 ranking. 2 and 1.
The number 2 team in the country, the number 2 team in the conference would be the number 4 team in the country, and the Kentucky Wildcats.
So Kentucky's going to drop when the new rankings come out because they lost to Tennessee.
Yeah, but
so they're 4 right now, and the new rankings come out.
We're living in the moment.
Okay. Your number 1 team, JJ, in the SEC has not fluctuated since we started doing this.
Nope.
That would be the
team
LSU Tigers.
No, the team that has lost to only 1 team in the conference, my Arkansas Razorbacks.
Okay.
That would be the Auburn Tigers.
So Auburn.
I am not the biggest Bruce Pearl fan as a person, but I think he's an excellent coach. And unfortunately, I think Auburn has the tools to go as far as they want to this year.
I like Bruce Pearl personally. I agree with you with your number 1 and number 2 teams.
Okay.
But
are you familiar with Bruce Pearl's politics? Because we discussed some things that
I am not.
Okay.
I am not. But I'm talking basketball. But I do think the 1 and 2. I think Kentucky can be beaten by Arkansas, and Arkansas got to play them in I think next week or the week after. We're rounding the curve there. We're going to see if Kentucky can actually hold up. I'm pretty confident Auburn can hold up. Kentucky can beat anybody on a given night, but I don't know if they can do it consistently. And we will see. We will see. Anything else, JJ, before we get out of here?
No. Although the answer to all of my questions have apparently been the Los Angeles Rams. That's it.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining. Come back again. WPS, Woo Pig Suey. Peace out. Have a good one.